Welcome to the Monday session of week 4. Congratulations on making it this far. So we're in our last week, and we're going to be covering compassion, connection, and positivity. But today specifically, we're going to be talking about how we judge ourselves and to bring that element of kindliness that I've been talking about to ourselves. And we're going to talk specifically about self-compassion as a way to counteract the inner critic that tends to rise up at times. So how's it going? I hope it's going well for you. I hope you had a good weekend and were able to fit in some time. Before we get into today's lesson and meditation, let's take a quick mindful pause. This is one that's called 3 breaths for a pause that you can do anytime. So just simply pause right now. Take a deep mindful breath in. Feel the breath going in and then coming out. Be aware of the physical sensations of this breath. And know that that anchors you in the present moment. Now take another deep breath. Notice the body. What does it need? Just check in. Whatever it needs, allow it to happen. Take another deep breath in. And remember to be kind to yourself, which is really what this week is all about. Just making sure you remember to take care of yourself in the busyness of your day and all that you do for everyone else, to do some good things for yourself. And that's 3 breaths for a pause. So that's a good way to bring a lot of it together, the breathing, the body, and then the kindness part of it. So good practice to do as an informal practice. So I want to talk a little bit about self-judgment and the inner critic. So as we have practiced the last few weeks, maybe you've noticed the tendency to give yourself a hard time. The inner critic arises, which is common for many of us. So know that you're not alone. Life is hard enough, especially these days, without giving ourselves a hard time and beating ourselves up. And this can easily spiral us down, and it's fueled by this inner critic. 2 very important attitudes which can be incredibly supportive are patience and kindness. I've mentioned them before. They really are important this week. Simply noticing when I'm impatient with myself can give me the chance to pause and remind myself that we're all dealing with very challenging times and I'm doing the best I can. This invariably helps me feel a little bit better. In Buddhism practice, patience is considered to be the antidote for anger. And of course, these days, anger and irritability easily arise. So developing and cultivating patience is a good antidote. According to Dr. Mark Burton, a mindfulness instructor on mindful.org, he says that nearly everyone recognizes the inner critic, that judgmental voice inside us that heckles and cuts us down. Whatever we do isn't enough. This push for perfect is exhausting, but often avoidable with practice. Rationalizing with what is basically an irrational habit doesn't help much. The inner critic is like the 2 old guys on the Muppet Show, endlessly deriding whatever happens without reason at all. Reasoning with our inner tyrant validates it as if it deserves our attention, when mostly it's just an unhelpful pattern of thinking we've picked up along the way. Tara Brach calls it the trance of unworthiness, and has actually written a whole book about it called Radical Acceptance, and says that mindfulness and compassion are the way to pull ourselves out of it. So self-compassion, which this is based on the work of Kristen Neff, a psychologist and researcher, is composed of three things. One is self-kindness. That the idea of being warm and understanding towards ourselves, even when we feel we're not doing as best as we could, or there are things that inner critic is pointing out. Common humanity. The fact that we're human, we all share in this. We all suffer. We all sometimes feel as if we're alone. It's just us going through this. But really, we all have this feeling. And as humans, we're all imperfect. And then the third, which of course we've been focusing on all month, is mindfulness. And, we talked a bit about this last week, bringing up this non-judgmental and receptive mind state, so that even thoughts and feelings we just accept as they are. And we don't try to get rid of them. We don't try to deny them. So very important elements to self-compassion. So what I'd like to do now is do the meditation. And so find yourself a comfortable position as you're accustomed to. And we'll start by establishing our anchor, which in most cases will be the breath or the body. But so let's first be aware of our body sitting here. Notice your feet grounding you to the floor. Notice your body in the chair and how the chair supports you. And allow the weight of your body to give itself up to gravity. And then feel your breath. You don't have to do anything special with the breath right now. Just let the breath breathe itself. Feel the inflow and outflow of each breath. And pay attention to the sensations of breathing wherever you notice it most. And as we've learned, whenever we notice that thoughts arise and hijack our attention, returning our attention back to our breathing, using the breath as an anchor. So just for a moment, paying attention to our breathing, establishing this anchor through the breath. Or the body as well, can always be grounded and anchored through the body. Now, when you notice yourself thinking, you can mentally note that to yourself. Thinking, or if it's a specific type of thought, worrying or planning, just noting that. Being aware of that. And then also notice that there's an element of self-judgment. Something that you're giving yourself a hard time about. Maybe saying to yourself, I'm not doing this right, or I'm not cut out for meditation, or I have too many thoughts and I can't control my thinking. Whatever it is, just notice that. And when you notice that, name that too. Judging. And then pause, simply notice how this feels. And then allow yourself to rest in a non-judging presence. And then you can gently return again to your anchor. Be aware in the same way whenever strong feelings arise, if you notice a layer of self-judgment. You might notice anxiety or fear or anger. And in the same way, noticing when these judgmental thoughts come up, as if you're saying to yourself, I shouldn't be feeling this anxiety, and blaming yourself. And in this way, you're being mindful of the feelings and also how you're relating to the feelings. Can you accept yourself with kindness and give yourself some compassion as you might a good friend or a child? So just resting for a moment, noticing whatever arises. Continuing to notice thoughts and feelings as they arise, and seeing if there is a layer of self-judgment. Now I'll invite you to bring in self-compassion, sending yourself some care and compassion. So for the next few minutes, practice leaving that voice of judgment, that inner critic, alone. Stop wrestling with it, trying to push it away. You can label it if you want, as we did, and recognize what it feels like to you, and then just let it be. And on each in-breath, acknowledge whatever you're experiencing right now in your body, your emotions, your thoughts. Nothing to fix or change, though. This is simply what's going on for me right now. And on each out-breath, offer yourself relief. Wish yourself what you would a close friend with the same doubts. Breathing out, wishing yourself relief or strength or humor or joy or kindliness or compassion or anything else that feels appropriate. Breathing in, this is how things are. Breathing out, focusing on ease or whatever else comes to mind. Wish yourself well, not because you deserve it more than anyone else, but because you deserve it as much as anyone else. And for these last moments, simply resting with your anchor, simply being in touch with a feeling of simple presence, being here now. And coming to a close, rising out of the meditation, bring your awareness back into your body. Feel your feet on the floor, your bottom in the chair, your back on the backrest. Stretch a little bit if you like, and open your eyes when you're ready. And that's the meditation for today. So I encourage you to try that, and even as an informal practice throughout the day, to notice when judgment arises and simply pause and relax. And in time, this will become a spontaneous noticing, and you'll notice a greater sense of ease and freedom in your life. So here's a quote to ponder from Pema Chodron. Meditation practice isn't about trying to throw ourselves away and become something better. It's about befriending who we already are. Well, again, thank you for being with me. This is Monday of the fourth week. So I would encourage you to try this meditation tomorrow. Again, hopefully by now you've been finding a pretty good routine, time and a place and ways to carve this into your busy schedule. And I'll be with you on Wednesday. So have a great day, and talk to you then. Be well and be mindful.